Hello everyone, and welcome back to my series on how to choose the proper pot for your orchid. This is part 2 of Hidden Dangers of Orchid Pots. If you haven't seen the first part, go back and watch that. Okay, so first, plastic pots. One other hidden danger of plastic pots is that they are lightweight and your plants can tip over easily, like I just did. That can end up you can end up with broken spikes, losing your potting media. I just did tip this over right before I hit the play button or the record button. So really, that's one of the inconvenient things about plastic pots. They're lightweight. They provide no stability really for your plants. Now that's just an inconvenience, potting mix falling out and broken spikes. But what if you have a tall plant and it gets knocked over? This was an Angraecum, is an Angraecum Lemford White Beauty, and it was about 1.5 feet tall, and that's not even that tall for these plants. These can get big. And what happened was, I assume, is it got cracked. It fell over and got cracked. The stem got a teeny little crack in it. Organisms moved in and started to rot the stem. So I had to cut the stem off all the way to the base of the roots, and I even did have to cut off, there were some roots growing up higher than this, so I had to cut that off too and try to get the dead ones out. This whole thing is just solid root mass. So trying to get, this is why Angraecums resent potting. But it was salvageable. The rot, I got it cut out finally, and it's got 1, 2, and 3 basil shoots coming off. So I will eventually have a nice little bushy plant of this. So if I had not caught the rot soon enough and treated it and did surgery and all that, I would have lost this plant. So that is one way that the plastic can be dangerous. The last thing, and probably more common than plants getting broken, is hard water deposits. This is just salt deposits building up on your clay. Plastic doesn't do this really. Clay will. Clay absorbs salts like nothing else. So if you've got hard water, you can possibly have salt deposits that will not leach out. Like our water, we've got 360 parts per million of TDS in our water, and it's really high in calcium, and I don't know what else, but when you freeze it and thaw it out again, like if you make ice cubes, you'll get little flakes of stuff down at the bottom of your glass. That's the solids, and when you have hard water, vinegar will hardly ever take care of it. I don't think I've ever successfully been able to get those water deposits, out of our clay pots. Like, I just have to throw them away after a while. Then I switched to RO water, which I couldn't grow orchids without the RO water. Before, I was having problems. Why that is bad, let me explain this. Orchids, being epiphytes, are not adapted to high levels of salts and minerals like terrestrial plants are. So they're real sensitive to salt buildup, and what happens when you do get salt buildup in your pots is, let me show you. Here we go, this one. The root tips will start to die. When they touch the pot, they'll stop growing and they'll kind of shrivel up and brown. And that one's done it. So, and that one did it right there. I don't know, these are kind of hard to see. Eventually, if you haven't killed them all with your hard water, which almost happened to me, I had a whole bunch of Cattleyas having sudden root death. Well, it was sudden to me. They were doing really well. I wasn't overwatering or any of that stuff, and I was like, why are all my roots dying all of a sudden? And I was treating with fungicides and all this stuff, and then finally I was rereading one of my books, and there was a bit in the book about hard water and how the roots will die when they touch the sides of the pot. That also prevents you from getting a new root system. And I went, oh. So I went out and bought a bunch of distilled water and tried to leach the pots, and it wouldn't work, and so I had to buy an RO system, because otherwise I was going to lose all my plants. But that was a minor investment. So if you don't know if you have hard water, if you get hard water spots on stuff, if it doesn't come off easily, like with vinegar, or if you get those flakies in your water, you can also, if you have municipal water, you can Google it. It's just like the town, say you live in Salt Lake City, Utah, do Salt Lake City, Utah water report. You'll find a website that should have all that information listed for you, what your total dissolved solids are, the hardness, the pH, that's important too. But we are talking about salts right now. I'll do a whole nother video about water. So if you've got hard water, clay, probably not the best thing for you unless you've got salts that dissolve easily. When I say salts, I mean minerals, salts, everything that's in the water. Because it's, anyway. So if you have a lot of hard water and it doesn't clean up easily when you're using like cleaners and stuff, it's definitely going to be something you don't want having in your pots. And to illustrate that fact, okay, this is not my water deposits, but these are water deposits from our mineral hot springs about a half an hour away. These are literally rocks. They are, I mean, they're soft for rocks, and they would probably dissolve if I put this in acid for a long time, but this, I mean, this is what, literally, it's a rock, and it's hard enough, and make jewelry too. I thought it would be neat to have a piece of that stuff in a piece of jewelry, so I actually made a little ring, cut a piece of that water deposit, and put it in this little bezel setting here. So that right there, that is hard water. Good for people, bad for orchids. All right, everyone, have a good day. I hope everybody learned something. I really hope none of you have as bad a water as I do. It is such a pain. And if you like this video, if you found it informative, if you want to see more, please subscribe, and I'll see everybody next time.